Episode 16 of the Uncommon Talk. Ross Bennett here, Ryan Crater, and our special guest today is Dr. Clint Osborne.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, man, of course. So we've got an interesting topic and conversation today. Which is just mind-blowing to me that this is happening. And it really falls into a lot of things that we've talked about in the past with technology advancements, is digital medicine. And what I mean by that, and I'm going to let Dr. Osborne talk more about what he does in his practice, because it's pretty fascinating, but I've definitely got some questions up my sleeves, is what I kind of heard, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it's FaceTiming clients instead of sitting in a waiting room.
Do you call them clients instead of patients?
Or patients, should I say? I'm sorry. FaceTiming patients. At this point, it's just clients. Hey,
it's customer service.
Clients, we may be talking about a different industry. Fatiming clients privately.
Like fashion.
So
that's my side job.
FaceTiming patients,
it's not
y'all.
doing well. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. FaceTiming patients for prescriptions.
Well, actually, tell us.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Well,
Let's go.
okay.
Let's go. I can't wait.
My lawyer said I can't say FaceTime, but I can say FaceTime-like visit. Anyways,
video conferencing.
The lawyer's not here, so we
video
don't care about it.
conferencing. No. Let's. Like I said, I don't know, but anyway, for legal stuff, video conferencing for prescriptions.
So, just some quick, brief history. This is kind of something that doctors have been doing for years, right? A patient will call you and their child's sick. It's the weekend and the waiting room's long, and they're like, "Hey, can I talk to Dr. Ryan or Dr. Clint? And can y'all just call in an antibiotic for me?" So this is a form of medicine that's been widely accepted. Just getting a quick script from your doctors in the past.
Well, in-house
that's kind of where it
calls.
started. In-house calls.
I mean, before any of this, doctors used to come to the house to see the patient. There was no
get paid in chickens and pigs
or whatever. But it was there was no waiting rooms.
We take cash.
Yeah.
There was no waiting room.
And favors. Okay.
There was no waiting rooms. You guys went to people's homes versus common hospitals. Yes, there was probably some type of hospital, but the doctor would show up at the house. As far as you can remember, even watching crazy old Les Mis or things that, where the doctor's in all black,
right,
in a cape, right? Then you see in the 30s and Downton Abbey, where the doctor's in a 3-piece suit and a bow tie and a bowler hat, gets out of a fucking Pierce Arrow, a very expensive car, and walks into the house. Or now you have video conferencing.
Video conferencing, yes.
So real quickly, your company is called Guru MD.
Yes.
It is an app.
Right, so our company is two things. It's a website. It's you go to gurumd.net. It's as easy as creating an email account and then click Start Visit, and you're directed to a doctor. Or you can download an app, and the same thing. It's like creating an account on any simple app, and you briefly select why you want to be seen, and a doctor appears. It's kind of like an Uber for doctors. So we kind of link up.
Yeah, I heard you say that earlier.
An Uber for doctors.
An Uber for doctors, yes.
Are you 24/7?
So we take video call from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and anything after that is audio. Our app will then direct you for a phone call.
So if you have bad head, then you're good.
You're golden. So, but the exciting...
So it's that simple.
It's super simple. It is super simple. The hardest part is just creating the platform and meeting the HIPAA compliances, and there's multiple insurances you have to have.
All right, so I think a lot of people know what HIPAA is, HIPAA, Health Information Privacy and two P's, HIPPA, Health Information Privacy and Protection Act.
That's
which
correct.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot to HIPAA, but what it boils down to is patients have the right to privacy when they see a doctor.
Correct.
All privacy.
Correct. So a lot of our patients are either
portability, and the portability, it's supposed to be part of it was so that you know how you can keep your phone number when you change your phone. Mm-hmm. Part of that the HIPAA thing was that the insurance is going to be portable. You can take it to another insurance company, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know, but it turned into this privacy thing, and that's all anyone talks about now. But
so yes, and telemedicine really helps.
Telemedicine.
It's called telemedicine, telehealth, aka virtual medicine. You know, you got P Diddy, Puff Daddy. There's telemedicine, telehealth, virtual medicine. You know,
P Diddy and Puff Daddy is the same thing as fucking telemedicine and whatever. Doesn't matter.
Virtual medicine.
He just related P
Ones and
Diddy to
twos.
medication. What the hell is happening?
Note
y'all?
to self: P Diddy Healthcare.
Yeah, someone get on the phone that knows P Diddy.
PDiddyHealthcare.com.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Puff,
P.
Puff,
Diddy.
give a script.
Puff, give us the next thing you know, Snoop Dogg and P Diddy are gonna go into some fucking like team up with Pharrell and have like some when marijuana comes legal, have like some virtual doctors, Mr. Nice Guy kind of dispensary thing. What do you need? Oh, I don't know. I got some glaucoma. Okay, we'll send you this. Fuck.
We do serve the state of New Mexico, and you know,
Really?
marijuana is legal out there. So Texas, I think, is taking some early action on the whole cannabis. Oh, I read an article 2 weeks ago.
Favorable action.
Favorable action. Yeah.
Well,
These are
CBD
the
is
mini
very wide.
steps, right?
I mean, I'm in the CBD business, and the CBD oil company, Prime My Body, they just hit Japan. They just launched a token on Nasdaq. Like, they're doing some crazy stuff. That company started here in Austin. Wow. Another buddy of mine
innovative
owns
area.
Greed Helix out of California. He sells a lot of it here in Austin. There's CBD at my post office. He sells vials of CBD oil. I mean, look. It's coming quicker than we all know, and and who gives a shit about it? You guys are sitting here drinking alcohol right now, and whatever.
I'm not seeing patients right now. So
My
everybody knows.
point
Let's
is.
get that clear.
My point is,
I'm off the
that
clock. Okay.
anybody who goes to a bar or whatever and drinks alcohol, 9 times out of 10 are getting in a car and leaving.
Correct.
Okay, so
Uber. Okay.
well, yeah, Uber, Lyft, and all these companies are great. I got in trouble back in the day, and I don't drink anymore because of it.
Right.
You got a DUI.
DWI.
DW.
A couple
Yeah.
of them. And so that was it. I had to change my life. And so my point is like, at some point, the states are all going to say yes. I was looking at some stuff with my some family members bought some cannabis stock. And so I started looking at the country of like how many states are actually legal with cannabis. And I was like, holy shit, Massachusetts? Like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Boston, totally legal. Rec.
Wow.
All day.
Huh.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
recreational use.
I had no clue.
Right.
That's wild.
And so it's like, okay, there's only so much money in this state that can stop it.
Right.
So, that's an interesting topic that you brought up. You kind of jokingly brought it up, but are you legally,
Like, did he bring it up?
Yeah, but are you legally allowed to prescribe cannabis in New Mexico?
Dug up. No.
Oh, yeah.
Are you
New Mexico.
allowed-
He did bring it up. He did bring it up.
Are you
Yeah.
allowed to prescribe cannabis in New Mexico?
That's one thing I'm looking into at the moment. The legalities of what I can and cannot do with telehealth.
Okay, can a Uber
Because-
doctor underneath the Guru platform that's in
Currently, right now, I cannot answer that. Yes or no,
Gotcha,
and it's
gotcha,
and
gotcha. Yep,
it's
yep.
just because I don't know yet. Right.
Great answer.
But I know
Well-
in New Mexico right now, face-to-face visits, they're getting prescriptions for it.
cool.
So that's something to explore.
So,
Yeah,
so
it's
one
a pretty
thing
good
about
point.
a physician's license, which I'm a physician too, is that you have to get a license per state.
Right.
So there are some states that are now you can join this one thing
The
and
compact.
compact, and then and your license is good in more than one state, but that's fairly new. Nurses have been doing it for a long time. So if you have a company in New Mexico, you don't have to have a license for there, do you?
If I have a company in New Mexico, like a practice in New Mexico, like this is how we operate now. I see
tell
patients
me.
in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So we have our little virtual medicine office in Austin, right? Which we love Austin. I'm from Austin. I don't think there's a better city.
Well, since you mentioned it, tell who is Clint Osborne?
We'll get there in a
Tell
minute.
us-
Okay,
Keep
okay.
going. We'll get
Okay.
there in a
There's
minute.
So much to
Well,
talk about right
So
now. Much.
Keep rolling on this medicine.
Okay, so how the law works right now is wherever the patient is located, that's the license the doctor has to have.
Correct. That
So
makes
I
total
could be in Cancun on vacation, and I can see patients in New Mexico, and I can see patients in Texas because I have a New Mexico and Texas license.
You do have a New Mexico license,
Right.
Okay.
So I can see patients no matter where I'm at, but it's all dependent on where they're located. So
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, why?
It's all
I
about
mean,
the patient.
I mean, why does exactly? Because they're going to the pharmacy that's prescribing the drug, the taxes, the fees, all that stuff. To the insurance, the pharmacy is all within that person's citizenship.
Yeah,
Where they are.
that's actually a good point because I had looked into doing telemedicine, and
The bearded doc, why don't you?
Well, it's complicated, as he knows. But we'll get into the complication of telehealth medicine. But one question that I brought up with the people I was looking to invest with was they're like, well, we can see anybody around the world. I'm like, I don't think so. Like, we can't like prescribe something to somebody and
like Singapore.
Yeah, like
so.
And they're like, of course we can.
If you have an office over there with a licensed doc, I don't see why you couldn't.
Right, but I mean, it was like, we'll have headquarters in Texas, and we can
open up a goddamn.
We'll treat the entire
100
world.
Square foot room with a boiler room style with a phone.
I
Set up
like
a post office.
I love that you're a dreamer.
I love the analogy.
I mean, you just have to have a zip code and an address and a PO box.
So a lot of things about telemedicine. It's cool that you brought that up, right? And where this conversation is going. It's essentially the Wild West.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of law that has not been developed,
You related P. Diddy to medicine, man.
Right.
You related P. Diddy to medicine. I mean...
So, so testing, seeing patients in another country, in Mexico, in China, I have talked to certain groups that are probably kind of pioneers of the telemedicine industry, and they're looking at seeing patients in other countries just because they feel like the laws aren't extremely concrete in what you can or cannot do, but there are like insurance liability companies that are willing to cover docs to see patients in other countries.
Good point. So I have a question. So CBD oil, like I just said, Find My Body's been around a few years. They've been up and down, whatever. And they've been steamrolling, especially when we hit when Paul and the team came to Austin, and they hit Austin right, and they found my buddy Matt Lehman, and Matt Lehman got like 600 people in a fucking cluster, and that was just spread like wildfire just before it's launched Japan. And now they're about to hit a bunch of other countries as well. I don't know if I can disclose that, so I don't want to say it, but I know that it's in Japan, and I remember them talking about having to get it over to Japan and the laws that they had to get with CBD and hemp and like all of that in terms of like Japanese culture, and they finally were like, if we're gonna do this, we gotta. It's the Wild West, right? We gotta go in,
test the waters,
boom, and man, they had like a small room of 5 or 10. Now it's like rooms of like 300 Japanese men and women, and it's like anybody knows anybody in Japan and wants to go make a fortune. Let me know, because
do you have any relatives in Japan?
You just sign up. You can like just contact them and say, sign up for this.
That's wild.
But it's because it's the Wild West, so it's like
somebody has to be on the forefront.
Why not? If it's a gray area right now, I'm not saying for you to do it, but if there are tele guys, like you're asking that question.
So the thing with,
why not go after
anything in medicine is extremely, extremely complicated to do. And so Wild West,
because of the insurance stuff, or what?
Legalities, insurance, and a lot of middlemen.
I mean, you literally keep talking like life and death. I mean, that's why. That's why it's complicated.
No, I get it, but
yeah, and insurance companies, they fuck up everything.
And with complications come expense.
Fuck you, insurance companies.
Well, I do accept insurance companies, so America. God bless America. We all have our own opinions, so yes.
Well, we can talk about health insurance in a minute.
I feel like we're in this room for a reason, because we all like to test the waters. If you don't like to test the waters, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now. So
that's true.
I feel like there's a lot of like-minded people that are starting to come together and test the waters. Whether it be on how to raise funds for businesses now. Just with the CBD laws changing. The first FDA-approved drug just came out within the last month for anti-epileptic drug. So big. Strides
based on
place.
marijuana.
Yep, based on marijuana. Based on THC, yes.
Which you hear so many stories about, like the parents that had their kid that has tons of seizures and they're at their wits' end, and then finally they get someone or a doctor, to get them
the appropriate treatment.
CBD that was illegal. Doesn't even have to have the THC.
And the seizures go away.
Just the CBD.
Well, Ross says that we have receptors for...
What I can tell you legally about the endocannabinoid system and CBD and all that kind of jazz is that CBD causes homeostasis within the body. And if you know what homeostasis is from a scientific level, right? It's just
I think he knows.
Regeneration of cells and healing mutation. So in any shape or form, however you want to look at what that does, you can't OD on it. You can drink gallons.
You know what?
The female body down in the reproductive system of the female has the highest percentage of endocannabinoids. So as receptors. So as a female is having a baby inside her grow, those receptors are fighting every single fucking bacteria and every thing that is trying to attack it to keep those cells regenerating instead of mutating. So when Aaron, when we were breastfeeding Georgia at the beginning, Aaron was taking CBD oil and giving it to Georgia at the very beginning because it goes in through the breast milk. And the baby starts getting CBD.
So quickly, what is CBD oil? I actually didn't even know until I met you, which I don't even know if I still don't know.
So there's basically, it's a family of plants like roses, right? There's thousands of strands of marijuana. And then there's CBD. And I'm sure there's tons of different strands of CBD. It's the same plants, hemp plants. It just doesn't have the THC.
There's no THC. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the CBD, though, it's in fucking any leafy green that you eat. It's in spinach. It's in lettuce. Like, it's
another active ingredient that's in the marijuana plant.
Correct.
But you also get some effects from it.
Correct. It alleviates stress, anxiety, seizures. Okay. Like, there are proven cases. If you have any interest in this, you can go to like PubMed.gov and just type in CBD and go down the rabbit hole and study it. Like, there are so many cases from doctors and journals and parent testimonials of like years. Like, look up the company Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web started because their daughter was having seizures and dad made hemp oil. And next thing you know, she still doesn't have seizures to this day. And Charlotte's Web's been around for a long time.
So working in the ER in New Mexico, which I didn't tell you, I work like 2 or 3 shifts a month in New Mexico.
Oh, now?
Yep, currently.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know, New Mexico it's a wild scene because it's the #1 state for drug abuse. Really? And then when you combine meth and ERs on the highway, it's just like what you just show up and anything can come through the door, right? So
how long are your shifts?
24 hours.
Yeah.
And they're busy. It's the state is completely underserved.
No one understands 24-hour shifts. Yes. Like, I try to explain it to people, and like Ross was even like, it doesn't click with people.
I get it now because I talk to him like almost every day, but like, I just don't know how you do it.
It's a different, what it does to your body and mind is interesting.
How do you go, and let's just talk, because I bet you this is happening to both of y'all. How do you go from like saving a life to a death to some other crazy thing, like something shoved up someone's ass, to then maybe saving a child's life to maybe leaving on a death? Like, how do you deal with like multiple saves and multiple deaths in 24 hours?
I would say through repetition.
Yeah.
Repetition. If you're going to perfect anything, you have to do it every day. You have to eat, sleep, and breathe it, right? So when you start residency and your hours, okay, we might work 24, but in residency, they made us do 32. So in residency, they teach you how to push your body and to take it to places that you never thought you would take your body.
Exactly. So residency is a more expensive version of pledgeship.
Pledgeship?
Yeah, fraternity.
Oh! Yeah. So residency is a training ground. So I mean, people, I try to tell them about 24-hour shifts, and they're like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "Well, could you go run a marathon tomorrow?" Like, no, you can't. I mean, no one can do that. You train your body in mind to get prepared for something like a marathon. I mean, the residency was our incubator to get us prepared. I mean, there was one time I was standing up in a kidney transplant surgery, just watching, and because I had to be there and it was middle of the night, I like fell asleep like for a split second standing up.
That's happened to me as well. 2 or 3 times I can think. Standing
up,
you fall
Grey's
asleep.
Anatomy.
It's crazy.
You know that show?
I hear of it. I've heard of it.
Which show is it?
I hate
is it me?
That guy. It's not like a fucking Taylor show. There are a couple movies, and people are like, have you seen it? I was just gonna say, is it really?
It's okay.
Fuck y'all.
No, we still love you. Tell us.
No, tell us.
Inform me.
No, honestly, I hear about some of the stories. I hear about some stuff that goes on because, like, we'll talk, and I'm like, man, like, God, fuck, like, how?
So whenever the show ER and Scrubs was on, I was like, and people were like, is it anything like the show? I'm like, take Scrubs and ER, put them together. That's about what it is.
So Grey's Anatomy. So a little humor with a lot of seriousness. You don't ever watch Grey's Anatomy?
No,
I mean, I've never seen the Titanic.
I'm not a middle-aged female.
I watch Sports Center and Silicon Valley. That's about it.
Dude,
Oh,
really?
that's
Oh, maybe some on-demand shows. You know, the one with.
You have a girlfriend?
I have a
married,
wife. I'm married.
Oh,
yeah.
I watch what's the Ballers MTV. I'll watch that.
Good show.
But when it comes to medical medical shows,
We
I
see
shy
enough.
away.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Does your wife
I just
watch
gotta
Grey's Anatomy?
No, my wife is. Oh my god, into IDTV 24/7.
What's that?
It's like okay,
Oh, yeah,
murder
ID,
mysteries.
yeah.
This
Oh.
person got raped.
my
This
sister
person,
watches
I'm like,
all that shit,
I come
prison
home.
shows.
I love you, Cassie, if you're watching. I'm happily married to my wife. You're amazing. But the IDTV babe, please just crank it down a little bit.
so my wife watches 48 Hours, 2020. I'm like, you are studying how to murder me and get away with it. I know it.
My wife watches all
Wait,
these
the
like
live
drama
insurance
shows.
policy?
There's all these like This Is Us and all these shows, and I'm like
Oh.
coming inside, and it's like two people always bitching, and I'm like, really? Like,
Don't-
can't we watch
don't bring
it? She's like, oh, you want to watch Hawaii Five-0? I'm like, yeah, I do. I mean, what I
Don't
do
bring
is
up
I'll
This Is
find
Us. I might start crying right now.
I'll find something.
That show is so touching.
I don't watch any of it. Sorry,
Well,
This Is Us or Big Brother or.
I reluctantly started
My wife
watching that show with my wife, and then like I got ahead on the episodes. Like, no, I didn't see it yet. Not at all.
So let's go back to the beginning where Ryan wanted to ask you, where are you from?
Yeah,
I'm
tell us your
from
background.
I'm from Bastrop, Texas, which is
What?
really far away, about 20 miles east of Austin.
Used to be really far away.
Yeah, I know, used to be.
and it used to be small.
It's really blowing up. All the housing, restaurants. It's turning. Actually, the downtown Bastrop on the weekends is really cool. Now all the original like downtown furniture stores have been converted to
Antique
bars.
shops. Oh,
Breweries. A lot of really good restaurants, and they most of them now have live venue music. Almost like at least 5 days out of the week.
Sweet.
so there's Austin, and then so there's if any of you guys know Dallas Fort Worth, the DFW, that is a metropolis, literally.
Yes.
From there.
Houston is one gigantic. I mean, you could drive.
Food coma?
Freaking. Oh yeah, so the
Beltway
freaking
is the
Loop
worst.
99.
That's the worst.
It's one loop that's going around Houston to get from like one point to the other point. It takes an hour to drive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like, and so people, staffing agencies from the East Coast, like, hey, can't you just drive over to Dallas and do a shift? I'm like, no, I can fly. It's 3 hours to Dallas.
Sometimes 6 hours,
Austin,
depending on the
Well, now you're
traffic.
driving
yeah,
truck.
It's crazy.
So,
Yes.
so Austin is a real. When I first moved here 15 years ago, I was told it's the biggest small town you'll ever be in, and that was true. I think it's still true to this day. But all the surrounding cities like Buda, Bastrop, Cedar Park, maybe not Cedar Park, Leander, like it's all merging together.
Agreed.
But Bastrop is really booming. And you know what? One thing I've been thinking about Bastrop a lot lately is with these California wildfires. Bastrop had a fire out there years ago.
What was it,
And
about
there's
15
still-
years ago? 10, 15?
Probably 10.
10, okay.
You know,
And I have several friends that were affected that lost their homes. But, luckily, everybody I talked to, they were insured, and they either got what their property value was worth or even better. And a lot of good actually came out of it. The whole community bonded together very closely. So a lot of good came out of such tragedy. It was a record-breaking fire, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's still signs out there.
Really good friends is Gary Baker. So if you know that massive car museum that was there that got hit, I mean, he lost a lot of cars.
Really?
Yeah, but insured.
But so, and there's still
the
signs.
California stuff is horrible.
There's still signs of fire out in Bastrop. I mean, you can there's just burnt
Well,
forests, but
Once everything
parks
gets
out there.
settled down, okay, and the city starts to rebuild, if you look at what the carbon footprint that's left on the soil does to the actual soil,
okay, so
it enriches the soil
you're
immensely.
talking about the upside of forest fires.
It's how the Aborigines fertilize their corn.
Correct.
That's what
But-
happened in
Burning
Bastrop.
pasture.
But we
So
are.
we're going to start planting
But
corn
it's
in
not a
Bastrop.
We
good thing
are
this year.
yes.
No. I am
we are
not happy about what happened
We are
at all.
sensitive to the
I'm just watching
fires
what's
in
happening
California.
in Bastrop after a decade of the fire torching the trees. The trees are growing back bigger and stronger. So,
Yeah, right.
in hindsight, yes, it's horrible what happened. And what I'm trying to say is that once the city rebuilds, which it will, that everybody in California that's been affected, they're going to see trees come back that are bigger and more powerful.
More
Yeah,
lush.
but you know, right now
vibrant.
we're worried about lives in California.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just talking about Bastrop.
It is
and-
tragic,
Yeah.
the loss in California, you know, but
Worst fire in the history of our country.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yes, I came from Bastrop, and I kind of was the kid that always got in trouble in grade school.
No, you don't say.
Kind of picking fights, you know, but
Really?
I'm kind of nice now for the most part. So my parents pulled me out of public school and threw me in a Hyde Park, which was a Baptist school in the Hyde Park neighborhood. And that's, you know, Jess Martin. I met Jess Martin there.
The rack is on Clint Osborne's head. Yes, it is. It's right on his head.
Call me Rudolph, okay? No, okay. But yeah, so from 4th grade on, I went to Hyde Park, and I met a lot of great people throughout the Austin area, Anderson School District, McAllen School District. And
Listen, you have a nice
yeah,
rack.
so men can have a rack. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Jokes are coming. Here we go.
So I ended up traveling for medical school. I did a lot of schooling in New Jersey, the New York area. I finished my residency through Texas Tech.
Okay, so where did you go to med school?
I went to Ross University.
Yeah.
Okay,
Another buddy of mine went to Ross
Yep.
University,
yeah.
but he went down to an island.
So yeah, the first 12 months is in the Caribbean.
Yep.
So 12 months Caribbean, and
Do you know
then
David Bubis?
Can we talk about Caribbean med schools?
yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm from Louisiana.
Okay.
I got into med school first try. I mean, I had the grades and I had the MCAT score. But once I got to Texas and a residency here in Austin, and I've stayed here. Texas, of course, it's a very competitive state.
Correct.
It's competitive for everything, but it's really hard to get a med school spot. Even though there's 12 or so med schools here. Louisiana has 2 LSU system and then 1 for Tulane, which Tulane doesn't count. But I mean, as far as like in LSU med schools, you have to be from Louisiana to get accepted. There's a few that slip through the cracks to get in. Tulane, I'm saying like they take people from anywhere. That's why I said it. That's why I said it didn't count. I love Tulane in New Orleans.
I should have applied
So-
to Tulane. No, I'm just kidding.
So it's super expensive. So Texas, I think you have to be a Texas resident to get in one of the public Texas med schools, and that's really tough. So where you went to med school is an offshore med school. You
Correct.
probably could tell me more about it.
Yeah, so essentially, yes, Ross.
And the reason
When did you go?
I went
Hold on.
in-
So here's before you start, I want to say because Texas is so competitive, there are a lot of people that I know from Texas that went to these offshore med schools, and what I have come to joke about is like, well, I'm from Louisiana, so it's kind of like I went to a Caribbean med school
Yeah.
because it's easier to get in.
So I went in
is-
Right, so the Caribbean Med School, it's easier to get in, but harder to get through.
Right.
And it's because they condense 2 years, like the first 2 years, they condense it to 18 months.
Right.
So you're essentially trying to drink out of
Dude, I
you're
remember
trying
my
to
buddy
drink out of a
saying-
fire hose.
yeah.
Because these schools make a ton of money, right? So they want people to fail. Oh, I don't know if they want.
Isn't
but
that
it seems
island
like
only like fucking? It was tiny.
real tiny, 80 miles.
Yeah, my buddy was like.
And so I finished up there, and
And you're literally in paradise, right?
yeah, so it's
Blue water,
it's a
Catching
tease,
fish, you're going to
you
get
know?
fresh fish from the fucking sea.
And you would be more tan than you are now.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. The people that took part in those activities, they didn't do so well. You know,
Yeah, right.
So,
So
it's a big tease. So
I got
you're on the
accepted-
beach. You know, you scuba classes. Everybody's going scuba. There's all these cool bars on the water, and you know, you just got. I had to stay in my little dorm. You know.
Yeah.
And I was probably even more white than I am now.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
but imagine that.
Yeah. So Dr. Osborne wanted to apologize for his white, pale skin.
Pale skin.
Which
Very
I always apologize for that too. I call it the
apologize.
fluorescent tan.
Why? Because you're always
We're
inside.
always inside in fluorescent lights.
Oh, I got it now. That's so
but-
funny.
But then I got to move to West Texas after all that, and I finished residency through Texas Tech, and so I met my wife in West Texas. Which any of you guys ever go to Lubbock? It's a fun city.
I've been
Yep.
to Texas Texas Tech game a couple
Yeah?
times.
Okay.
Yeah, back in college. I don't remember.
So I guess I didn't know this. So for the most
it was
part,
a fun time.
Good
but
time.
for
yeah, I mean, I got escorted out by the police from the stadium. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
of course
never
not.
are.
I was,
Yeah, me
I was in
either.
the Texas
You
Tech
never-
area, and I was covered in orange and white, and we were whooping y'all's ass, or
Oh,
Texas Tech's
shit.
ass, and they were like,
Oh.
they started ripping out the bleachers, and they were
Uh-huh.
like, I think it's time you get over to the Texas side, and I was like, yeah,
For your own safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, But it was Calf Fry weekend. It was a fucking anybody who's been to Texas Tech or
you say
anybody who
Calf
has-
Ride weekend?
Calf Fry.
Calf
Anybody-
Fry.
Yeah. Anybody who has
Making
kids
me
that go to
hungry.
Texas Tech, I'm sorry. In terms of, it's a great school, but the social life, I've been there.
Oh.
It's a scary
Well,
scene.
so I mean, you were bringing up social life. So I got accepted to LSU in Shreveport Health School. Now LSU undergrad. Oh my God, this Aggies game, I can't even.
That's why
like-
you love LSU so much as you went to
My
LSU?
brother and sister are
yeah,
Aggies, but
yeah.
I love them. That's all I can say.
So we're talking about a game that happened.
Doesn't
a
matter.
couple days
LSU
ago.
got their butt kicked
7
by the fucking
overtimes with the Texas Aggies.
LSU couldn't beat the goddamn Aggies in 7 overtimes. Anyway, enough said. Hook 'em. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. I got accepted to med school in Shreveport, and I did not get accepted to med school in New Orleans, and I am thankful to this day that happened, because I think I would have failed out if I went to med school in New Orleans.
A lot of temptation.
So I was actually a goody two shoes growing up.
I don't
'cause
believe you.
I promise
Okay.
you, because grew up on the farm. Y'all know that. I wanted to get off of the farm, and my way out was med school. Right. So I like everything. I focused on that, and like I didn't break rules. I didn't drink till college. I made a mistake of telling people, yeah, I don't drink, and then they're like, oh, here's a shot, and force it down my mouth. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could have made it at the Caribbean Med School.
It's a lot of discipline,
Yeah.
and the attrition rate is pretty high.
Yeah.
It's pretty high because I think a lot of people are going there because of that reason, So, anyways,
You think so?
Well, it's I was the kind of student in college. The first 2 years, I had as much fun as I could.
Yeah.
And then I found myself in my third and fourth year figuring out, okay, what do I want to do with my life, and then trying to play catch up. And you can only improve your GPA so much over
Yeah.
2 years.
So
Yeah.
my buddy
So-
who went to Ross University in the Caribbean had a little different mindset than you, and he
Okay.
now is I think he works. He was working for a collegiate team as one of the doctors. Now he I think works for an NFL team out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think so. Well, he works for CU. He's in Denver. I forget who he works for. He works for either a college or the NFL team.
Oh, nice.
But his mindset was, because I remember he got accepted to a couple different universities. He had a decent GPA and all the other stuff. I don't know what the fuck you need, but I remember him getting accepted. But he got accepted down there, and he analyzed it from a student loan situation and time,
Okay.
and was like, I can knock out 2 years in 18 months,
Uh-huh.
and then I can then go do residency and jump around. So he was in
Oh.
Dallas, he was in Nashville, so he
Oh,
got
cool.
to go all over this country. Probably like you had the option too, to figure out these little pockets of residency spots everywhere,
Right.
to figure out where he wanted to be at the end.
That's
Right?
a good angle. Okay.
So he
I
went
like
to
that.
So I forget where he met his wife, but he met
Mm-hmm.
his wife in one of the cities, and maybe St. Louis, or she's from St. Louis. I don't remember,
Oh.
but he did Orlando and
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville, and he did all the different cities. Worked for a couple different teams, got into sports medicine, like really found what he wanted to do. Right,
Right on.
But by
Yeah.
going to the Caribbean and maximizing his time to get out while he's still young,
Right.
He didn't want to be in fucking med school at 28 years old or 30. Yes, I have friends that went to Johns Hopkins and did some really cool shit, and they're close to mine. Another college roommate of mine studied at Hopkins. Now he's gone, but anyway, you can choose your path,
Right. Exactly.
But I think you said something a minute ago that I want to bring up, and then I
Okay.
want to go back to what you
Let's
fucking
do it.
did
Let's
as a
do it.
kid.
Let's do it.
You said it takes discipline to mask to get through temptation, and I think that
That's quotable.
in business, and you also said something else about us coming to the table. We all like to kind of press the boundaries, do things differently, not really play by the rules.
Correct.
I think if I can analyze a little bit of you, is that, yeah, you like to bend rules and play and jump on the wire and test the wire, but your discipline is fucking on point. You're setting up a medicine company that has a fucking website and an app that's cloud-based, basically.
Correct.
that stores all the information on the cloud. That any doctor in the world that's a part of your network can have access to it, right? Now, that takes a lot of discipline to set up, and a lot of rule breaking.
So I want to get back to your history, but yeah, tell us how much work and how long it took you to set this up.
Yeah, the discipline.
I spent 16 months from about 5 a.m. to about 2 a.m. almost 7 days a week. I would sleep about 4 or 5 hours max a night.
Just
for
getting
about
this
a year
set
and a half,
up.
for a year and a half. Yes, it was very taxing, but I had a passion because I saw where like practicing emergency medicine. A latest study from Blue Cross Blue Shield came out. 65% of cases that wind up in the ER are non-emergent, right?
Oh yeah,
and
for
everybody, every year your insurance costs go up.
Which is okay. If you need to use the ER, go to the ER.
Go to the ER, right? If you have an emergent condition, go to the ER, right?
Yeah.
But however, it gets abused, and I see this daily. I see a lot of cases that go to the ER that I feel like there's better places and there's more cost efficient
I have
ways.
100-degree fever and diarrhea. What do I need? You don't need an ER.
Okay.
You need an
It depends
enema.
on how bad you
need
feel.
an enema.
No, you don't need an enema if you're having diarrhea.
Whatever.
Jesus.
You need a flush to flush all the poison
Okay,
out of your
so
body.
in a nutshell,
plug.
okay.
So you'll send me that, and we'll be good.
And
I don't need to go sit in the ER for 3 hours to know.
Okay, well, since Ross is bringing up diagnoses
and diarrhea,
what kind of stuff can you see?
what can you
go to
on
gurumd.net.
Guru,
We have a
Go to gurumd.net.
GURU.
GURU.
Are you a guru?
GURU? Yes, I
Are
am.
you?
MD. So
is it hashtag Guru Doc?
you can't. From now on, it is.
Yeah.
Mark that down.
Hashtag.
Guru Doc. The hashtag Guru Doc.
So, in a nutshell, I saw where legislation's going, okay? I mean, Congress, the Senate, Teladoc has been fighting a 10-year battle with the Senate, right?
I'm glad you brought up the 10-year battle.
And
because Wild West, back in the day, a lot of companies, doctors, tried to do telemedicine
Skype.
in Texas. Right. And Texas said, bullshit, no, stop it. And it took about 10 years for the laws to come around, which was only about a year and a half ago, right?
Correct.
Maybe 2?
Less, a little over a year.
So the internet's been around since Al Gore invented it.
That's true.
But basically, when we were in college, maybe all high school.
Wolf Fury 97.
Yeah. So yes, we've created a platform from scratch. It's called the Wireframes. I've learned all this cool IT savvy stuff. And
Guru Doc is it?
gurumd.net.
Oh no.
Guru Doc.
Our hashtag.
Okay,
Hashtag
beautiful.
Guru
Beautiful.
Doc.
So now people can take a photo of their insurance from home, and we can treat you. And we also can order labs.
See, that's interesting that you
we
actually
also do labs and
insurance.
imaging. We do labs and imaging as well.
Imaging is radiology studies, so that's like an X-ray, a CAT scan,
Wait a minute.
MRI.
So
You're
roll
going to
your
say, I
ankle at
need
home.
you to go get blood work done, and I'm going to say, okay. And you're going to say, I want you to go to this place.
I want you to go to this lab. We've
Who do I
contracted
pay?
with. Oh, so you can pay either us, and we give you a mega discount, like 60-70% off labs, off the cost of labs.
Yeah.
Or you can pay the lab.
This is interesting. So I didn't even know this is what you were doing.
Right.
So a lot of telemedicine, at least the intro of it, is you treat stuff like a cold, UTI, urinary tract infection, bladder infection, earache, nothing serious stuff.
Right. We're telemedicine on steroids, okay? We are designed to keep...
Yeah.
We are...
I can figure that out right now.
Yeah.
Everybody that works for us, our mid-levels or docs, are...
Mid-levels are nurse practitioners
PAs.
and physician's assistants.
Right.
They're called mid-levels.
They don't have a degree.
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Nurse practitioners and physician assistants, they have extensive training. And they can prescribe medications.
They are allowed to legally prescribe
Oh,
medicine.
yeah. Well, and that was a whole nother battle, too.
Really?
So the state of Texas, very, very slowly, and one of the last to approve that nurse practitioners and physician's assistants can prescribe. And initially, they only let them do it in certain rural areas. Is it full state now that they can do it?
Not that it has to be under a physician.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other. Yeah, so they have to be under a physician's license to prescribe.
Correct.
Which a lot of other states don't do that. I'm actually in favor of mid-levels or nurse practitioners and physician's assistants being independent practitioners if they do primary care, because there's underserved across the board around the United States. Underserved, like there's not enough primary care docs.
I'm all in favor of that. That's really cool.
But
I mean, your job is to oversee 20 rooms.
no, I mean
How
we
many
have
are-
8. We have 8.
Okay, whatever. Or
Which-
other hospitals have multiple. I mean, there's bigger hospitals, and you'll be 2 docs, but there's like 8 to 10 rooms that you're responsible on. And then how many nurses do you have?
One nurse will take care of what, 2 or 3 rooms?
We've 2 nurses in busy times, 3 nurses.
So okay, so you have a girl that takes care of 2 rooms, right? So
Which
wouldn't it be nice if
I
that
totally
lady
wanna-
could like
you
write
asked a
prescription
question
for you?
earlier. I want to get back to you, but
Wouldn't those ladies?
later. I mean, in a minute.
Wouldn't
But
those ladies be able? Wouldn't you like it if those ladies are men, while you're having to all of a sudden get called into something serious, be able to finalize a patient and write
What?
the script? Like if you're finished with the fucking
we want
client,
the women to be men? Oh.
your nurse practitioners to be able to write the script so you can go to the other room to take care of someone saving life versus they having to wait for you to write a script.
We have to document anyways. I
Oh,
guess.
so the
what you're
overseeing. So there, it's not like
So-
it's not like a like. Oh, hey doc, I'm writing the script right now. It's an oversight thing. We would be responsible for everything that they write, but we have an agreement with them. We talk with them.
But weren't you saying in other
There's a
states
scope
that,
of medicine.
that doesn't exist?
Right, and then it's on their own license, their own insurance.
So that should be
malpractice
great.
insurance.
So we can give nurse practitioners and PAs,
But-
they have
but
a lot
it's
of
not
freedom.
like-
They have a lot of freedom. They can practice
They're
without
not-
me even being there for like
Yeah.
2 weeks at a time.
They're not
But at the
waiting.
end of the 2 weeks, I got to review what they've done.
10%.
like 10%.
It's-
So they have
Oh,
tons
so
of
you always
freedom.
have checks and balances
they have
with these
exactly
people.
exactly.
Yeah, we have to
Advanced
overview
practice,
10%.
APPs,
Advanced practice nurses.
advanced
practitioners.
advanced
Nurse
practitioners.
something. I don't- Oh yeah.
Let us know what it is.
Yeah.
Just
Tell us.
Yes.
We're just dumb dogs.
Yes, we're dumb.
and medicine.
P Diddy,
Okay.
Puff Daddy, Sugar.
okay.
Sean.
But you know, even like the guys
so-
from CBD companies say, it's always better to be ahead of the wave, right? So that when that wave crashes, you get pushed to the highest hill, versus trying to catch the wave
Right.
as it's going.
Yes.
Because once you catch it, you just get caught in the shit,
Yeah.
That's right. Stay.
and the wave will
On the
never
right
be
side.
as big.
So a couple things I'm going to get back to. You were talking about med school. The way med school is structured is generally the first 2 years is all classroom work.
Correct.
And then the last 2 years, so it's a 4-year program, medical school, and then there's residency afterwards. So a lot of people ask, how many years have you been in school? And I'm like, well, 8 plus the 3 years I did in residency, but I was getting paid a teacher salary. But so
And we love our teachers.
oh, yes, and then they don't get paid enough. We've said this before
Agreed.
on
Agreed.
previous episodes. But 2 years you're just in the classroom, and that is some intense shit. Like Saturdays and Sundays, I've spent 16 hours studying. But just a general idea for you guys. And then the last 2 years, you do your rotations, which every 4 to 8 weeks you cycle through a different type of medicine: general surgery, internal medicine, family medicine, orthopedics, ear, nose, and throat. Sometimes it's just 2 weeks for the more specialized
electives.
neurosurgery, ophthalmology, eye doctor stuff. But yeah, and then after that, you. So where did you do your it's called
Clinical rotations?
years. Clinical, yeah. Was that up on the East Coast?
I spent a lot of time in New York and New Jersey. So I lived in Hoboken, which is
I love
a
Hoboken.
fun town. I lived right off
yes,
Washington.
I've got a friend from Hoboken.
I never
went
wanted
and
to
visited
leave.
there.
Good times, right?
Yeah, it's real good times. Home of the hipsters, I think.
Yeah. and as well as Frank Sinatra. Okay.
I like Manhattan and Brooklyn.
And then I lived Upper West Side for about a year and a half.
So I heard the people in medicine on the East Side are like extremely anal, like so hard to be around.
It's a difficult work atmosphere because
Talk about competitive.
the dynamics are crazy in the hospital. The nurses and the doctors the nurses have their own kind of coalition, right? And then the docs are essentially employed by hospitals or staffing agencies. So there's kind of this weird almost like a divide
Yep.
sensation between the nurses and the doctors. So the work environment, it's not like Texas. God bless Texas.
Well,
like
and
I
then
said
the
before.
patience you get from like the freezing blizzards, like, oh my God, can you? I could only imagine.
There's a saying, no one's dead until they're warm and dead. Which means if they like the kid that falls in a lake and it's cold and they don't have a heartbeat, like you got to warm them up and work on them, and they might come alive. But which happens. So I bet up there y'all had to deal with that. A nurse just reminded me.
Hypothermia.
Yeah, hypothermia. Yeah.
Several cases like that.
My buddies used to live in the Gary, right by Pace University, right there in Financial, and there was that hospital right on the backside. And I used to go to New York a lot, an office there or a showroom or whatever. But I used to go there a lot for like F1 and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, a lot, like
that's awesome.
a couple times a month.
Okay. So and then residency. Where'd you do residency?
I did my residency through Texas Tech.
Lubbock. Okay, and you met your wife there.
I met my wife in Odessa. I was doing a internal medicine. Texas Tech has a branch out at Medical Center Hospital in Odessa, so that's where we met. She was in the chest pain unit. And
she's a doctor too?
She's a nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner. Oh, you know how we were talking about disrupting things, or not really disrupting things, but taking a stance and moving forward?
Yeah.
So, so GuruMD is really moving forward, pushing the boundaries of medicine, staying within the laws. However, there's always been this divide too with the everyday man wanting to invest in companies that only the institutional investors have been able to invest in, right? So say there's a cool startup, and they may go public in a year in the stock market, right? Well, only institutional investors can buy these shares at like microcents or a penny a share, right? And then once they hit the stock market, then the price is already inflated, right?
Right.
So what does that do for the everyday man that wants to invest? You can't, right? And what does that do for startups? So say you're a startup and you want to seek investments from your community that believe in you, that want to invest in you, and that can help you move things forward. Well, you can't. So until the last year, right? So new legislation has even changed in the investment realm. And this is what we just launched the last 30 days. We launched, it's called the online public offering. So for years there have been these things.
Did you
called,
really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So over the last within the last year. They were called IPOs, initial public offering.
Oh, they're not
Everybody knows
called
what
that
IPO. Of course, there's IPOs, right?
Oh, okay.
For institutional investors only. So
And those
are you
now
are you
looked over
institutional?
by the no.
I totally
SEC.
invest in Snapchat and Bitcoin.
So what we've done at GuruMD, we started an OPO because we feel like in order for us to be successful, our community has to invest in us. My relationships that I have with previous patients over the last 6 years, I feel like if you can take patients and people around you in your community to believe in what you're doing, and they invest in what you're doing, and you're also taking care of them, it truly becomes a symbiotic relationship. So now, non-institutional investors, the everyday hardworking man, can invest in something he believes in.
What does OPO stand for?
Online public offering, and not initial public offering like the IPO. So we just launched an OPO. It's startengine.com/GuruMD. One more time.
Say it again.
Startengine.com/GuruMD. And anybody can invest in GuruMD in our movement. We are here to take medicine to the next level, to push the boundaries, and we are here to serve you guys. Just check out our Facebook, facebook.com/GuruMD. Look at all of our reviews are 5-star. I don't even know if you can alter a review on Facebook, but they're all truly 5 stars. Because once somebody sees the affordability and the accessibility with telehealth, with telemedicine, they have a 98% satisfaction rate. And
and I think it's so hard for people to get used to the idea of like FaceTiming a doctor.
I'm all for it.
No.
I hate going to the fucking doctor.
That's a good point.
But to actually think about it when you're in that moment of, I don't feel good right now, what am I going to do? I'm so unplugged from that way of thinking because I'm in medicine. I can call whoever, whenever, whatever. But
how many deaths do you think would be saved from your room if they called an hour before?
Since you, not many. It's
Fine, 5 hours before.
Okay, so
it would really treat minor things from progressing to major things.
Side conversation. We'll get back to it.
Okay.
You asked earlier, how do we deal with deaths? And you said other stuff. The first 5 years was really fucking hard. It was hard. I cried with the families. If it's a kid, I have to step away and go take a break for myself. I have kids, but unfortunately, telling people's families that their family member has died has gotten a little bit routine. I still empathize with them, but the pressure and emotional toll that it takes on me as a person, I can't do it. It has to become a routine.
No, for sure.
And
That's
it doesn't
why I
make
asked,
me feel any less empathetic with them. It's just I have to stay strong for me and my family.
And you have to stay strong for the next person on the
patient.
table. Right.
The next patient.
Right.
Who might just have an earache.
Right.
I have a quick story. I know where you're coming from. I've lived it. I've experienced it. Ryan earlier was talking about the first 2 years of medical school, primarily classroom. The second 2 years are rotations, like you talked about. My first rotation was emergency room. So I come out of the classroom, I go right into the hospital, I'll throw my white coat on, I'll walk into the ER for my rotation, and the doc grabs me, "Oh, you're a student? Okay, that patient's coding." They threw me on the patient, I'm doing chest compressions.
Coding means that their heart has stopped or they stopped breathing and it's time to initiate CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
So so my first 15 minutes of being in the ER, I was performing chest compressions on a guy that didn't make it, and he was as blue as your jacket here. And so all I could do was run into the bathroom and start crying, and because I haven't handled that before. I knew it was my calling to become a doc, but yes, it's a process, right? It really is a process.
And the next one, you still cry.
Absolutely. I mean,
And it just
but I bet you when you save a life, you cry too sometimes. You walk out to the family being like, they're saved, and they're crying, and you cry with them, and you're just like, thank God I did this. Like, I don't know what the hell I just did, but I got it.
That actually doesn't happen.
Yeah. What doesn't happen?
That's just us doing the job we're supposed to do.
Well, okay, what if I challenge you on a question? What if you've ever thought about, like, crying with gratitude for being able to save a life? Do doctors ever think that way?
I'm sure, but I'm saying it from the other side.
Yeah.
When you tell families that, hey, we got them back.
Yeah.
That's their joy. That's their success.
But you don't take joy in
us. Of course we do.
Yeah.
Of course we do. But it's not, the family doesn't, it's not like, oh, you're awesome.
No. It's expected, right?
It is.
It's a good question. It's actually a very good
Just because on TV sometimes the doctor will, and this is why I asked this, and I'm like, why do doctors do this?
It's a good question.
Sit down with the family, and they're like, thank God that you did that. And it's like, you just saved my dad's life, man. Like, I appreciate it. Like, holy fuck, you just saved my dad's life. Like,
you'd be surprised how much.
Saying? Or you just saved my 5-year-old's life.
You'd be surprised how much that is expected of us.
And the family is so emotional, right?
Do you think it's because so many people are just ticketing bills right there? They're like, oh my God, the ambulance just cost me $1,500. This just cost me this. This just cost me that. Like,
that does happen, but
how many shots do you need to give them?
Yeah.
Insurance is a bad thing because it makes people. It's a great thing because it's nice to have when you don't need it, or when you need it. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of people sitting there being like, well, what the hell is my deductible going to cover, right?
That doesn't happen as often as you think.
Okay, great.
It does happen.
Yeah, I would think it does, especially with people that don't have insurance.
Those are the ones that care the least.
Well, I don't understand that, but okay.
Me either.
Someone's got to pay the bill.
Not them.
I don't get that, but okay.
We'll talk about that later.
That's an off-air topic, or no? To go.
No,
back
if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
My point is, like, if you save my
saying,
fucking dad's life,
right.
I'm going to sit there and give you a big goddamn hug.
Okay, but at the same time, your emotions, and you're probably caught up in your father just surviving.
My dad almost died on me. And my dad's best friend saved his life. I went through it. We had a long cry and hug, and Dr. Jerry saved my dad's fucking life.
Okay, but you know Dr.
My
Jerry.
dad almost died.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the number one heart surgeon in Dallas. So yeah, I mean, my dad's on the board of Baylor Medical Center. So when Freddie went down, fucking the chief general was called in, come save your buddy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy shit, but, like, I had to sit down with my family and talk about, like, prep for death. Like, I was a freshman at UT. Yes. I was going to golf practice. My cousin calls me and says, hey, man, check your Gmail. There's a Southwest Airlines ticket, and get to the airport. I'll see you in a few hours.
I think there's a Southwest flight out to Bastrop.
Oh, okay. I'm saying, like, I
landed in those cornfields. Yeah.
I remember going through all that, not knowing if my dad was going to make it, having these talks of, like, all right, having to become the man of the family, you know.
Okay.
And then Doc saved my dad, and I was like, we sat there and, like, thanked all the nurses. I remember having, like, a dinner, like, a crazy shit, like, yeah, we thanked everybody. So
that's
what listen,
we told you guys.
So, all I'm going to say is these guys obviously don't get thanked when they get save some lives. So if you are watching, maybe they do get some. But listen, if you go to a doctor and he takes care of you and he helps you in any way, I don't give a shit if he just wraps a finger.
I mean,
just say thanks.
I mean, we get donuts.
We love all you guys.
We get donuts and brownies.
I don't care.
And some flowers.
You guys are saving people's lives.
I don't want to say.
Forget about the bill. 9 times out of 10, you caused a mistake to get yourself into the hospital.
No. Anyone who needs us, come see us.
I know that, but my point is, come on.
We can't say that.
Okay. Telemedicine, cool. You don't need to do it now. You can call from the bed.
And yes, in telemedicine, everybody thinks of a Z-Pack or something, a quick fix. Okay,
the after morning pill is the morning after pill.
Right.
Hey, honey, can you give me?
Which is over the counter now.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been over the counter
for a decade.
Decade.
Yeah. So
where? Oh, Planned Parenthood and stuff like that.
No, pharmacy.
What do you mean?
Walmart.
You cannot go
CVS.
to Walmart and just pick up the morning after pill.
I think you have to ask the pharmacist.
Yeah, it's behind the counter. You need to ask, but it's available.
Well, that's great. I think I'm okay fine with that. If people don't want to have a child, that's fine.
Well,
so whatever. We're not going to get into all that.
That is a
because I'm adopted. So
touchy
I'm
subject.
adopted. So it's an interesting conversation for me.
You know, okay. Clint and I met at Stronghorn Fitness.
Got another one of you.
Another one. Our film crew, Zach and Kelly Zlack, they are also Stronghorn family members. Stronghorn is an outside boot camp. I have not been able to go for a very long time, but Jess Martin is the owner. Clint and I met there through Jess, and I'm like...
I think you worked with one of my friends too, Colby Voigt.
Oh yeah, Colby Voigt. Dr. Voigt, fantastic guy. But whenever I showed up at Stronghorn Fitness in Zilker Park, and there's Dr. Osborne, I'm like, no sir, only one handsome doctor in this park.
I thought you were a little intimidated.
That's why you know what?
I still like you. Come on, man. You know all I got is love for you.
Yeah.
That's why he was weird because he had the handsome doc like this, and he had to do something.
And I remember I did not bring water. Remember that?
We clicked really.
Yes.
What happened?
I remember we were doing burpees in massive amounts.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jess. We were getting our Saturday morning sweat session on.
Yep.
And then everybody brought their water, right?
The smart people.
Yeah, the smart people. You know, I actually wasn't living in Austin. I was transitly driving through town. I was like, I'm going to pull into a Stronghorn.
Oh, well, that makes you seem awesome.
Yes,
that's so funny.
So then I'm like, I have no water. But you and I, we ended up working out together. We're doing like a pair.
We'll just
run. Somebody's running while the other's doing burpees. And then I'm like, does somebody have... I felt like I was in the Sahara, no water.
None of this sounds fun.
It was like
I would rather have sex. And burpees on a concrete.
Zilker.
Six packs over sex any day. I'm joking.
Depending on who you ask.
I could tell you that you can get a pretty fit body from... Anyway.
I mean, look at him.
Burn a lot of carbs.
Yeah.
Gosh, that doesn't come easy.
It's been a while. It's been a while since...
What, 2 years ago?
You've been to Stronghorn? When's the last time you were at Stronghorn?
2 years ago.
But you've been traveling a lot with your medicine, your ER stuff. And he does emergency ER stuff. Now it's in Crockett. And, it's blessed to have him come home for a few days and give us an hour of time because he's only here for a few days and then whoop, right back. Saving lives.
So we did click pretty well, and I forgot that I gave you some water, but that's what I do. I care for people. It was like the scene out of Lady and the Tramp with the noodle.
Oh yeah.
Joking. Joking.
I still have carpet burn on my that. A little more product, please.
You gotta grease that thing up, baby. Grease it up. I use 4 products, by the way, but
So GuruMD.com.
GuruMD.net.
.net.
Oh yeah.
The .com.
He couldn't afford .com. Wait, tell us.
GuruMD.net.
I'm in negotiations for the .com. That's under the table down low. That's a whole nother story.
I own DrRyan.com.
And Dr. Ryan.
I had to pay for that, but all right, guys.
Thank you guys for having
We
me.
didn't even talk insurance.
Myself. no
Doesn't matter.
insurance.
Uncommon Talk 16. Ross, Ryan, Dr. C.
Clint Osborne.
We're gonna
Thank
do
you
a
guys for having us. Good times.
GuruMD.net.
We're gonna do a couple episodes in December and then take hiatus for the holidays, of course. In January, we're gonna come back full and strong, but we're gonna do a couple more episodes this year.